JBN, we keep you informed. Coming up in the news, police seize firearm and ganja in Kingston 14. Two men charged. Kahira Jones sentenced to 34 years for firearm-related offenses. Early morning arson in St. James leaves 9 homeless. Motorcyclist hits pedestrian and dies. Opposition leader Peter Phillips calls again for a crime summit. And Trelawney man dies tragically at his mother's wake. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items. Police seize firearm and ganja in Kingston 14. Two men charged. Two men were arrested and charged with illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, possession of ganja and dealing in ganja, following a police military operation in Golden Heights, Kingston 14 on Friday night. Charged are 26-year-old Anthony Palmer and 18-year-old J. Wayne Clark, otherwise called Tajay, both of St. Thomas addresses. Reports from the Denham Town Police are that about 7 p.m., lawmen signaled the driver of a motorcycle with a pillion to stop. The driver complied and a knapsack being carried by Palmer was searched and found to contain a .38 revolver and 3 rounds of ammunition. A plastic bag containing ganja was also seized, the police say. The men were taken into custody and are expected to face the court shortly. Kahira Jones sentenced to 34 years for firearm-related offenses. One of the 3 convicts of dancehall artist Vybz Kartel, Kahira Jones, was sentenced on Friday, April 26 to a total of 34 years in prison, following his conviction on 3 firearm-related charges. Jones was sentenced to 18 years in prison for wounding with intent and 8 years each for illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. Lisa Palmer Hamilton, the presiding judge, ordered that the both 8-year sentences should be served consecutively, but simultaneously with the 18-year sentence. In 2014, Jones, Kartel, Andre St. John, and dancehall artist Sean Storm were found guilty of the murder of Clive Lizard Williams. All 4 were sentenced to life in prison, and Jones was ordered to serve 25 years before becoming eligible for parole. His latest conviction stems from the December 2009 shooting of Chevalo Rodney in Waterford, St. Catherine. He had to undergo surgery and was hospitalized for 2 months. Rodney was shot and killed last year, just before Jones' trial got underway. Prosecutor Odine Williams led evidence that Jones went to Rodney's home and asked for a drink of water before pulling a firearm. He used it to shoot Rodney before a struggle developed and Jones ran away, leaving the weapon. Early morning arson in St. James leaves 9 homeless. Community members in Canaan, St. James, are shaken following the early morning arson of 3 homes in the area on Friday, April 26. The unusual incident has resulted in 9 people losing their homes and valuables. This incident also follows another gruesome case in the parish only 48 hours before. A female senior citizen was set on fire in Lima, Adelphi, a community in close proximity to Canaanites. Residents were jolted from their sleep early in the morning by a number of men with guns who set their predominantly board homes on fire. Councillor for the Somerton Division, Mark McGann, said the occupants were also threatened. A section of another home was affected by the flames. 2 vehicles have also been damaged. Residents allege that while the perpetrators made their escape, they also shot at a number of other homes in the closely knit community. Councillor McGann said the early morning invasion has left the residents traumatized and angered. He says the police and political representatives are now trying to prevent the possibility of residents carrying out any form of vigilante justice. McGann said at least 3 school-age children and a baby are among the fire victims. He says part of their early response will include providing basic necessities for those affected. Meanwhile, McGann says preliminary reports claims a young man was responsible for setting the old woman in Lima, Adelphi on fire. It's not yet known if both incidents are related. Motorcyclist hits pedestrian, dies. 40-year-old Linton Morris, a carpenter of Tollgate, Clarendon, died from injuries he received when his motorcycle hit a pedestrian on the Porus main road in Manchester early yesterday morning, the police have reported. Reports from the Porus police are that Morris was driving his motorcycle about 2:25 a.m. when he collided with the pedestrian before falling from his motorbike. The police were summoned and both Morris and the injured pedestrian were taken to the hospital where Morris was pronounced dead and the other man admitted in stable condition. Opposition leader Peter Phillips calls again for a crime summit. Dr. Peter Phillips, opposition leader, has once again called for the long-promised anti-crime meeting of stakeholders groups to be convened to forge a national consensus against crime and violence. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, the private sector organization of Jamaica, the Peace Management Initiative, and the Church are among the groups expected to be a part of the talks, which has been on the table for over a year. There is need for a national consensus about this issue, which is without doubt one of the most serious problems that we face as a country. The private sector has already agreed, we the opposition have agreed, and other groups have agreed, Phillips said. While supporting the extension of the Zones of Special Operations ZOSO in Mount Salem, St. James, and Denham Town, West Kingston, the opposition leader welcomed the announcement by Prime Minister Andrew Holness that in short order more communities will be declared zones of special operation. He noted that the opposition has repeatedly called for the anti-crime measure to be expanded to stem the scourge that continues to wreak havoc on communities in Clarendon, Westmoreland, Hanover, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine and other parts of the island. Dr. Phillips says high levels of crime have been a persistent feature of Jamaica's social reality, with the murder rate having almost doubled every decade since independence. While we deal with the ZOSOs, the only long-term solution is to take the criminals off the streets, and we know who they are based on utterances by the government and the security forces after the end of the state of emergency. If we need legislative enhancement to get this done, we should do it. The opposition leader is also expressing deep sadness about the brutal murder of 80-year-old Shante Skyers in Red Hill, St. Andrew. Once again, this signals the level of savagery that have overtaken so many areas of Jamaican life. The cases of domestic violence, the drive-by shootings in several communities, the killing of our children, and this bloodthirst need more than just a sprinkling of zones of special operations or the scraping up of thousands of young men without charge unconstitutionally, he said. It is time we seriously bring together the stakeholders and agree on a national approach that will be both far-reaching and sustainable, he added. Trelawney man dies tragically at his mother's wake. A cruel tragedy struck in a Trelawney community on Thursday night when a man died at his mother's wake. A red-cap porter died from injuries he sustained when he was hit down by a motorcycle in front of his gate where a wake was being held for his mother. The deceased man has been identified as Rommel Wilson of Bounty Hall, Trelawney. Reports are that about 9:40 p.m., Wilson was crossing the Bounty Hill roadway when he was hit down by the speeding motorcycle. The driver of the motorcycle also sustained injuries in the collision. They were both taken to the hospital where Wilson was pronounced dead while the biker was admitted for treatment. Members of the traffic department at the Falmouth police station are investigating the incident. The country needs more people like Crawford, says Don Wehby. Government Senator Don Wehby has suggested that the Jamaican legislature needs more persons like his opposition counterpart Damian Crawford. Let me say this with all sincerity. We need more people in politics like you with that passion, that belief without compromise in terms of what is right for this country, Wehby, a respected private sector leader, said as Crawford returned to the Upper House. It was one of many compliments bestowed on Crawford and first-time Senator Dr. Andre Orton after they were sworn in. Crawford, who had resigned from the Senate to contest the East Portland by-election held earlier this month, was defeated at the polls and returned to the Upper House by opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips. Orton was also appointed to replace Senator Noel Slowly, who recently resigned. Wehby said he was certain that Crawford has more to contribute to nation building. And I say it with all sincerity, he insisted. Orton, in his maiden speech in the Senate, promised to be a voice for residents in inner-city communities across the island. Further, he thanked Phillips for expressing confidence in his abilities and to promise to give his best in service to the nation. This is signaling to young people, my friends in the arcade who sell clothes, to the people who clean the streets, to the people in Mount Salem who kick football and box ball. They now have a voice. They now have a presence, he said. I will do my best to serve the country as best as I can and do my best to contribute to the discussions in the Senate in an informed manner, Orton added. Crawford said he was very appreciative of how his colleague senators on the government side treated him during the campaign. What was said, how I was greeted. Generally, I am appreciative, and I feel as if I'm a friend, and I'm grateful for that, he said. They were active for their party, but they weren't against me, Crawford added. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.